Hi everyone. So in this video, I'm going to give some reactions to a very interesting presentation that was done by Dr. Mariah Anderson on the Bryan Alexander Futurist Forum. So I'm going to provide my reactions. It's interesting, her perspective, because she comes from a background being a professor, working with middle schoolers as well as high schoolers, and she's also worked in industry. So this is a unique perspective. I'm going to make a couple different comments as it goes through. I'll also provide a link in the description to the entire thing if you want to go watch her entire hour plus presentation. But these are just some of the highlights and my reactions to them.
There have been all kinds of debates, all kinds of issues so far. In fact, two of our forum's most popular sessions occurred in December, where we took a deep dive into that. This week, I'd like to bring back a return guest, a great hero of mine, Maria Anderson, to talk about it. Maria, if you don't know her, is a wonderful person. She's a futurist. She's a devoted math teacher. She's an exceptional explorer of new technologies. She's the successful co-founder of the great software CourseTune. And now she's here to talk with us about AI and curricula. How does ChatGPT, generative AI, how does that change what we teach, as well as what we teach?
I've been using ChatGPT in classes. I'm here to tell you that all of my middle schoolers can use ChatGPT like champs already. So that's the generation coming at you in a few years. They are not slow to adopt.
All my middle schoolers can use ChatGPT like champs. Just want to make sure you all hear that. That's an incredible statement, but not literally so. It's very credible, actually.
Just like Bryan did, I really have to highlight that quote, right? She specifically says that all of my middle schoolers can use ChatGPT like champs. So that's the generation coming to you. That's a key realization that all of us in academia really have to have. So many of us are sort of fixated on the right now that we lose sight of what's coming and what's the future. In the future, the students are going to have grown up with this, so we definitely have to know how to utilize it and how to use it as an effective tool within our instruction as well.
It's probably akin to the rise of the calculator for mathematics, but for every subject now. I think in general, I don't have a lot of trepidation about ChatGPT like a lot of educators do, but that's because I've already been through this with math, right? So math has had so many challenges with technology. Math was the easiest thing to program. Math was the easiest thing to create tutors in. Math was the thing that we had Wolfram Alpha, like what was that, like 15 years ago, that could just do everything in math. And we had to rethink things, right? Now, at a state level and in K-12, I'm still not thinking that I'm still not seeing that rethinking. I see a lot of universities who still have not rethought that curriculum. But I do think this one's going to be really fast. And so unlike other changes that, we kind of slowly start to think about 10 years after industry, we're seeing the adoption on ChatGPT is faster than any innovation we've ever had, right? Think about not just education, but this is the speed of adoption in all of the businesses and all of the organizations that the parents work in, the kids will work in, right? You don't get to ignore how fast this is going to happen. So one is, does the technology have a relative advantage over others? Yes, no question. If you don't see that yet, you haven't actually been trying. Is it compatible with our belief system? And this is the only one of the five that I think there's even a hiccup in. And that's because some people think like, humans versus technology, we can't do this, right? Pandora's box is open. Sorry, you can't put it back. The next is how easy is it to use? Is it very complex? And it's very easy to use. It is not at all complex. You can just have a conversation with it. You can tell it to do something over. You can tell it to add something in. It just does it. It remembers your private conversations, unless you tell it to forget the private conversations or the prior conversations. And then the fourth is trialability. Like, how easy is it to try? It's free and it works on your computer. Of course, there is a premium version coming out. They've announced today for $20 a month, but it sounds like they'll keep the free version. And I'm super happy, actually, that they're going with a subscription model. The fifth hurdle to adoption is it easy to observe others using it? So, from what we've seen, it hits the nail on the head for at least 4 out of 5 of these. It's almost a textbook perfect release of a technology in that they've made 100 million people use it in the first 64 days. I think with 5 days to a million and 64 days to 100 million, that means we should be at about 1 billion users in roughly 100 days. That's an incredibly fast adoption. We haven't ever seen something be adopted that fast.
So that's a very true and powerful statement as far as ChatGPT. It's broken all world's records as far as adoption and utilization. So if her prediction is true that we're going to have 1 billion users within 100 days, that means that before the end of this semester, we're going to have 20% of all internet users being able to use ChatGPT and actually using it. So keep that in mind as we go through and think about the future of education.
And I don't want to get mired in, but what if students cheat? But what if students cheat? Students have found ways to cheat with every single thing that has been invented. We need to have better assessments in general. And guess what can help us write better assessments? ChatGPT. So if I want to do more scenarios in my classes instead of multiple choice questions, I can ask ChatGPT to help me write business scenarios for my classes. If I want to incorporate more real world technologies that I know nothing about into my classes, I can use ChatGPT to learn about them very, very quickly, much more quickly than Google.
I love the fact that she brings this up. We definitely need to move beyond this idea that the only thing ChatGPT is good for is to help students cheat. That's a small thing that is so minute compared to the other aspects of ChatGPT. We need to definitely realize that this is going to become so integrated in everything that we do. It's going to be integrated in Microsoft Office. It's going to be integrated in all of our search engines, that it's going to function as a co-pilot, as an aid, as an assistant. So this is something to really think about. The future of everything that we do is going to incorporate this, meaning how we work, how we learn, and how we create as well.
Is it 100% right? No, but usually its wrongness is so easy to spot that it's not a problem. And our website's 100% right. Our website's 100% unbiased. I've been talking a lot about this boiled frog of Google, and I want you to pay attention to it. The next time you go to use Google, see how long it actually takes you to find the information you were looking for and how many websites you have to go to. Because I can get to the same point in ChatGPT, skipping all of the, go to this website, go to this website, go to this website, go to this website. I can just get a paragraph of response. And then if I'm not sure about a fact or I want to double check something, I can go look for that one thing. But I can get to a curriculum I can use in class so much faster using this that it's really incredible. So I think the ability now suddenly for people to leave the silo of what they teach and incorporate things from outside that silo has just gotten way, way easier. Way, way easier.
That right there is a major point. The convenience that ChatGPT offers, the fact that it's convenient and it can save us time, that's going to really radically change things, in that now we'll be able to do more things and different things. So by doing that, it'll allow us to incorporate new things and do things in different ways that we hadn't even thought were possible in the past.
Where I was hesitant to use video maybe as a means of teaching something before, because I had to watch the video, see what was in it, maybe create materials to go with it. I can actually use a ChatGPT extension to grab the transcript from a YouTube video. I can have it summarize that transcript from the YouTube video. If I want a reading piece to accompany the video, I can have it pull vocabulary words out of it. I can go over the vocabulary words in class before we use the video. Those are all things that would have taken me hours and hours to do before. And so I was just hesitant to do it, right? So in terms of special education, we're asked to use graphic organizers for students who have difficulty reading to help them kind of summarize ideas and information, which means you have to create the graphic organizers and fill them out. But I can actually have ChatGPT create a graphic organizer and fill it out. So then I just have to delete out the content and give it to the student for something. I question sometimes why we teach like literature appreciation, but not presentation appreciation. Perhaps it's because 75% of the population is afraid of public speaking. So imagine all of you who are afraid of public speaking, imagine being thrown into an educational system where the focus was on public speaking instead of reading, and what that experience would feel like to you. But now if I want to one of the things I decided to do today in class was to create little plays that we'll start class with. So we're learning about vacuum technologies in technology and society. So we're going to do a little play about a salesman coming to the door of a family in 1920s and trying to sell them a vacuum cleaner, which they've never seen before. And then in my marketing class, we're going to act out a focus group about whether or not the school should adopt laptops instead of iPads. And both of those scripts that I'm going to use with the students, I wrote in 8 minutes using ChatGPT. So those are things I wouldn't have done in class before because I didn't have the time to do them before. So my challenge to you is start thinking about this as a push forward, a huge leap forward in like the amount of diversity you can have in the activities in the classroom, because you can now. It's much, much easier. Oh, and one more thing I just have to mention for special ed.
Please.
To do things like rewrite, like if you have a text you're using with the class, but you have a student who reads 3 grade levels below the rest of the class, that was very difficult to accommodate before. But now I can take the body of that text, give it to ChatGPT, and ask it to rewrite it at a lower grade level.
How good are the results?
Very good. Game changer.
And then, of course, it's text, so you can edit it as you like.
Yeah, but the point is that I don't have to do that work of rewriting it now.
I really have to reiterate what she's saying there, right? Because the thing is that this really changes things. The time savings and our ability to learn and be able to diversify and incorporate new things in the class and try new things in the class is really going to be a game changer, just because now we can enhance our instruction and be able to help individual students a lot more by being able to use ChatGPT to help them individually. So this is going to be something really new and really enhance the overall process. The educational power is really going to be in our hands.
We know it's been trained on diverse data, but where's it going with all of that? What amounts of knowledge does it have no idea of? And if we keep using it, how is that going to potentially limit how we think? I've used it to brainstorm. It's been great. If I get used to using it to brainstorm, will I start to lose my voice, my way of thinking? Or usually I use it when I have a brain block, right? But my boss and I the other day, we asked it to write something in the voice of a non-native speaker. And so that was very interesting because it could do that too. Because suddenly, if all our students sounded like ChatGPT, would be able to just tell something's wrong over here because they're not supposed to sound like native speakers, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, Maria.
I think like any new technology, you can't build for the entire world and also every ability at the same time, right? You have to start somewhere and you have to release it fast enough that you can afford to keep doing the rest, right? So I would say that my guess is other languages, things like that, they're just going to lag behind a little bit, the native technology. I mean, in the meantime, we're educators. We can make sure that students get these other perspectives, and even that as they're working side by side with the AI tools, that they actually add in those perspectives as part of the assignment, right? So I don't think that's a bad thing. I do just have to recognize that these are the problems, and then, but textbooks have had those perspectives, newspapers have had those perspectives, magazines have had those perspectives, right? This is not new to us that the prevailing media would not have a female perspective, right? But what is interesting is to think that you could potentially add those perspectives in by just finding the right materials to digest, right? And so that these are curable things in the technology. And that might actually introduce some of those topics more into the mainstream by surfacing them.
This is also really important, and Dr. Anderson is really starting to talk about AI literacy here. So it's going to be a vital skill that we develop in ourselves and then translate that to developing within our students. An important part of that is this critical thinking aspect. Students always have to have this idea and understanding that no matter what, even if it comes from a regular subject matter expert person, it doesn't matter the source. Even if it comes from an AI, they have to have critical thinking. They have to evaluate. They have to check it. They have to verify the information always. That comes from being a scholar, from being a critical thinker. And going through and doing that, that's going to be sort of an essential part that really elevates their capability in being able to succeed in the future. The people that will be able to succeed in their jobs and not be completely taken over by AI are the people that can work with AI, that know the limitations and know to properly check them, to verify. So that means that they have to know their field that much better in order to be able to properly work with the AI. So that comes into play for sure.
You obviously need to vet the information. So, and even an expert who thinks they know it all, find 3 experts and find an expert who disagrees with the other experts to come to the right conclusion. And then finally, I would just end in, there's a book called The Half-Life of Facts. And I believe the average fact has about a 10-year half-life, because information constantly is changing and being updated. You do pre-training, but if you do pre-training on wrong information, you're garbage in, garbage out. And so what does that mean as well? So, I'm excited for this technology, that it can be useful as long as the human's in charge, right? The human in the loop, and how do you keep the human in the loop? I would say use the technology, but then just like you have to defend a thesis paper, if you're a PhD, I would say whatever document, a student turns in, they have to defend what everything is in that document. And so when they're using any tool, can they defend this and say, okay, this is what the tool gave me, but can I defend that information is valid, is accurate, and so it translates from being a tool to it's part of my creativity. So garbage in, garbage out, but creativity in, creativity out, and always vet the information. So those are some of my thoughts.
Yes, a human needs to be involved, but we also need to think about the kinds of humans and I don't know, maybe ingesting all of the information is not so bad, because at least all of the information is there, not just the portion of it that one particular body wants the rest of the world to have. I think some of our discourse in the United States right now is because there's suddenly more information than there has been in the last 100 years ago or 200 years ago. Right now, if you question what you're hearing, you can go find other sources of information, which was not the case when you had an encyclopedia and a library and your teacher, right? And so I think a lot of our mayhem is happening over the ability to access information. So maybe having systems that can actually pull the information fast from lots of different places is maybe not the worst thing that's going to happen to us. Because maybe we'll see a more balanced perspective. I've been saying for at least a decade, maybe 2, that one of the best ways we can teach, especially some of the more technical subjects like math, is to personalize the content to some of the interests of the students, right? To have word problems that are in the field that they're interested in college. But certainly in K-12, we can do it as well. Like if you have a bunch of students who are interested in Minecraft or Legos, you can have ChatGPT write word problems about Minecraft and Legos, right? Like write me linear modeling problems about Legos, write me linear modeling problems about these topics, right? Like it's so fast, and you can target the interests of the students you have. And that was not easy before, right? Like, so again, if you're not looking at this as a way to really start connecting in a deeper way with your students and to really start to meet them where their needs are and to help them to like hone their own skills. Like so many of our students, they don't have a lot of creativity, right? For whatever reason, we maybe have driven that out of them. But ChatGPT is actually really creative. Like for my entrepreneurship students, they used it to generate potential names for businesses. So I had a student who was, we were talking about climate change and how it might change the mountains here in Salt Lake. So what if there's no more ski resorts? How could we use the mountains in a different way? And one of the ideas was to build hiking trails in the mountains that follow the plots of books. So as you're walking, you can do the the walk to Mordor on a trail, right? And so one of my students, had ChatGPT generate names of businesses that were in the Wasatch Mountains that leased land to build trails that followed the plots of novels. And in, a second, it had 20 names that were better than any we could come up with, that incorporated plays on words about reading and novels, and used the mountain setting and Utah, and some of these things are just going to be great for people who just don't have a particular skill, right? Move them forward and get them to the next thing, then to actually plot the business they're going to make instead of getting stuck on what they're going to name it, right?
Yeah, we build on the shoulders of giants. In fact, what I would encourage, and this is what I do when I use ChatGPT, is I say, okay, this is the prompt I use, this is the output I got, and then this is what I did to enhance the output, right?
Yeah.
For students, it's like, okay, just don't regurgitate whatever ChatGPT gave you. This is what the prompt engineering. This is what was created, and then you have to go on top of that creativity, right?
Yeah.
And why did you do? You have to think about what are you doing above ChatGPT. You're a human. You should have more intelligence than the AI, especially around creativity. So if a job is very dangerous, difficult, or dull, give it to the AI. But for jobs that are creativity, compassion, kindness, those are where human spirit shines. So. Anyway, that's my would be my encouragement to all the educators out there.
I also really liked what he said right there, because that's exactly it. And this kind of ties back in with AI literacy and understanding, being able to not just take whatever AI gives you at face value, taking it and then turning it in. That's never going to work. You should never have that type of mentality, but being a critical thinker and being able to get that information, check it, look at it, see what you think, and then again, have that conversation with that AI, pose another prompt, tell it to change it, edit it, have a back and forth until you get the actual good result that you want. Add the personalization, do the necessary tweaks, and then go forward with it. It's always going to be on you as the person who turns that in, who turns in a report, a paper, an article, whatever it is. The fact that you use the AI doesn't mean that you can transfer the responsibility to AI. It's still going to be on you as that individual working with it. You're the one that's using it. You're the one that signs off on it. So it's that much more important to be able to properly verify and check to make sure there's no bias. All these different aspects really come into play with good AI literacy.
What about learning how to use ChatGPT and similar tools effectively? The whole skill, call it prompt generation. Is that also one that might be shaped by a divide?
I actually am really hopeful that ChatGPT will actually force this to change, that we will actually be forced to come up with better curriculum, better ways of teaching things, to humanize some of our curriculum in ways we don't. We have factized curriculum still in so many places, but maybe we need to have more humanized curriculum. It's hard to teach about some of these things. It's hard to incorporate brand new events in the world into your curriculum as ChatGPT adapts. And like right now, the information is 2 years old. So you actually, one great way to change an assignment right now, for those of you looking, is just to make sure you incorporate some very current event into it, because ChatGPT doesn't have that information yet, right? Yeah. But I think we can use it to create a better curriculum in general. And I'm hopeful this will force the issue on us.
I too very much hope that AI, like ChatGPT and all the others that are coming, I really hope that AI is going to be this catalyst that helps us to improve education in general. Much more of being able to elevate it to what it should already be. One of the infographics that I made deals with helping instructors make an assignment or a class that's more resistant to ChatGPT, right? That's an interesting kind of play there, because it talks about, if you want to make it more resistant, then your assignments in your class should use more modern instruction, as far as more modern information, after 2021. So more current information, more local information, more personalized information, as well as using more images and video, because ChatGPT can't look at it yet. or maybe more dynamic assessments where students have to actually give presentations and there's more discussion, there's more interaction, because again, that doesn't involve an AI or ChatGPT, as well as the importance of motivation, of making sure that the students see the relevancy in what they're doing in class, the relevancy of why they're learning something, either with AI or why they're not allowed to use AI because of skills mastery, because they're going to need that for later on to make them able to use AI even better in the future. So having that relevancy is a key part in the overall motivation, as well as giving them an opportunity to actually apply what they're learning through dynamic type of assessments. So that's all done in that infographic to try and help instructors make a more resistant course and assignment. But the funny part about that is that this is being done as a reaction to AI like ChatGPT. But if you take a step back from that, well, everything I just listed is what you should do in general to have a great class, to have an awesome assignment, is to make it more dynamic, is to make it more current, more modern, to personalize it as much as possible, to have motivation, video, animation, all these things to really enhance the impact of the class, to try and make that emotional connection. If AI can help push all classes in that direction, well then great. We should utilize that as an opportunity. And remember, like with everything else that we do here, learning is for life.